The stars shone bright against the dark sky as Soldier Amy Harris moved through the shadows of planet Vorax, her breathing steady inside her helmet. The air on this world was toxic to humans, but perfect for the Crawl, the alien species that had taken over the planet 5 years ago. Amy was not supposed to be here. This was meant to be a simple recon mission. Observe and report back to Earth Command, but her scanner had picked up unusual readings from the underground bunker's readings that matched the energy signature of Lamaran royalty. The Lamira were a peaceful species with blue skin and eyes that glowed purple when they experienced strong emotions. They were known across the galaxy for their advanced healing technology and their diplomatic skills. The war had hit them hard when the Crawl attacked their homeworld. Many Lamiran were captured or killed. Amy knew the stories about the missing princess, the daughter of Queen Kara, taken during the initial attack. Earth had only recently joined the Galactic Alliance, but every new recruit learned about the lost royal child, a symbol of the cruelty of the Crawl Empire. The entrance to the bunker was guarded by 2 Crawl soldiers, their scaled skin reflecting the dim light. Of the 3 moons, Amy waited until they changed shifts, using the small window of opportunity to slip past their defenses. Her special forces training making her movement silent and swift. The bunker was cold and damp, the walls made of a strange metal that seemed to absorb sound. Amy moved deeper into the complex, her scanner leading her toward the energy signature. With each step, the reading grew stronger. Behind a heavy door, Amy found rows of cells, each containing different alien species. Captured for various purposes, the Crawl were known for their black market trading of rare beings and their scientific experiments. Amy felt sick as she passed each cell, but she had a mission to complete. She could not save everyone, not today. The end of the corridor, in the smallest cell, sat a small figure huddled in the corner. The scanner in Amy's hand beeped softly, confirming what she suspected. This was a Lamaran child. But could it really be the princess? Amy disabled the cell lock, using tech designed by Earth scientists specifically to counter Crawl security systems. The door slid open with a soft hiss. The child looked up, her eyes wide with fear, her blue skin dirty and marked with small cuts and bruises. But it was the marking on her forehead that made Amy catch her breath. The royal crest of the Lamaran royal family. The child spoke in a language Amy did not understand, her voice small and shaking. Amy activated her universal translator, a standard piece of equipment for all Guardian Force members. Please do not hurt me. The translation came through Amy's earpiece, the child's words breaking her heart. I'm not here to hurt you, Amy said, kneeling down to appear less threatening. I'm a human from Earth. I'm here to help you. The child stared at her with suspicion. The Crawl had used tricks before to test their prisoner's loyalty. Amy slowly removed her helmet, letting the child see her face. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy, and Amy hoped this would help prove she was not. Amy reached into her pack and pulled out a small device, pressing a button to project an image. A recent diplomatic meeting between Earth leaders and Queen Kara of Lamira. The child gasped, her eyes beginning to glow faintly purple at the sight of her mother. Mama, the child whispered, reaching toward the hologrammer. You Princess Mira? Amy asked, her heart racing with the implications of her discovery. The child nodded slowly, seeming to make a decision to trust this strange human. Soldier, yes, I am. Mira, daughter of Queen Kara. I was taken when I was very small. Amy could hardly believe her luck, or perhaps it was fate that had led her to this cell on a routine mission. Finding the lost princess would change everything, not just for the Lamiran people, but for Earth's position in the Galactic Alliance. A loud alarm suddenly blared through the complex. The Crawl had discovered the breach. Amy had minutes, maybe seconds, before guards would flood the area. We need to leave now, Amy said, offering her hand to the princess. Can you run? Mira nodded, standing up straighter despite her obvious weakness. 5 years in captivity had not broken her spirit. Amy could see the royal bearing in the way the child held herself. Amy led Mira through the complex, taking a different route than she had entered her mental map, guiding them toward an emergency exit. But Crawl soldiers appeared ahead, blocking their path. Amy pulled Mira behind a storage container as laser fire erupted around. Them stay here, Amy whispered to Mira before rolling out from cover and firing her own weapon. The advanced Earth technology cutting through Crawl armor with precision. 3 guards fell, But more would come. Ami returned to Mira, grabbing her hand. I need you to be very brave now, Princess. We have to move very fast and not stop no matter what happens. Mira squeezed Amy's hand, her small fingers cold but determined. I am Lamaran royalty, she said. We are taught to be brave from birth. They ran through the complex dodging guards and security measures, Amy using her training to anticipate crawl tactics. They were nearly at the exit when a tall crawl commander stepped into their path. His scaled face twisted in a cruel smile. The little princess and a human. He said, his voice like gravel, so far from home, both of you. Amy pushed Mira behind her, raising her weapon, but the commander was faster. His shot grazing Amy's shoulder. The pain was intense, but she remained standing. Her focus narrowed to one goal: get Mira to safety. The princess surprised both Amy and the commander by stepping forward, her eyes now glowing bright purple with anger. She spoke in the crawl language, words Amy could not understand, but the effect was immediate. The commander hesitated just long enough for Amy to fire her weapon, the shot hitting him squarely in the chest. What did you say to him? Amy asked as they continued toward the exit. I told him my mother would pay any price for my return, Mira explained. I knew it would make him think about profit instead of duty. Crawl always choose profit. They reached Amy's ship, hidden in the dense forest outside the bunker complex behind them. Alarms continued to sound and searchlights swept the area. Amy helped Mira inside, securing her in the passenger seat before taking the controls. The ship rose into the night sky, laser fire from crawl weapons bouncing off the shields. Amy plotted a course that would take them away from Vorax and toward safety, toward Lemira and a reunion that would change the galaxy forever as the planet grew smaller behind them. Mira looked at the human soldier who had risked everything to save her. Why did you come for me? She asked. Why would a human care about a Lamiran princess? Amy smiled, thinking about the answer. Earth is new to the stars, she said. We still believe in doing what's right, even when it's dangerous, perhaps especially then. The ship hummed softly as it traveled through hyperspace. Amy checked the navigation system, making sure they were still on course for Lemira. The journey would take 3 Earth weeks, even with the most advanced human technology. The distance between Vorax and the Lamaran homeworld was vast. In the small sleeping quarters, Princess Mira finally rested her small body, curled beneath a thermal blanket. Amy watched the rise and fall of the child's chest, still amazed by her discovery, finding the lost princess had been pure chance, or perhaps something more. The humans called it destiny. The Lamarans had another word for it. Star Song, the belief that the universe guided souls toward important meetings. Amy sent an encrypted message to Earth Command, reporting her findings and requesting diplomatic clearance to enter Lamaran space. The response was immediate and enthusiastic. The recovery of Princess Mira was not just a rescue mission. It was now a major diplomatic opportunity for Earth to strengthen its position in the Galactic Alliance. When Mira woke, she seemed disoriented, her eyes darting around the unfamiliar ship until they landed on Amy, the human who had saved her from the crawl bunker. How long was I asleep? Mira asked, her voice small, but clearer than it had been on Vorax. Almost 2 days, Amy answered, offering the princess a nutrient pack, specially designed for Lamaran biology. I was starting to worry about you. Mira accepted the food, her movements careful and precise even after years in captivity. Her royal training showed in her manners. The crawl had taken her freedom, but not her identity. How far are we from home? Mira asked. After finishing her meals, till 18 days away, Amy replied. I wish we could get there faster, but this is the best speed my ship can manage. Mira nodded, her expression serious beyond her years. She looked out the viewport at the streaks of light that indicated hyperspace. Travel. Is my mother still queen? She asked suddenly. As far as I know. Yes, Amy said. Your mother has led your people through the recovery after the war. She's respected throughout the galaxy for her strength. Myra's eyes glowed faintly purple, a sign of emotional response in her species. Do you think she still remembers? Me, I was very small when they took me. Amy moved to sit beside the princess on the small bunk. Of course she remembers you, she said gently. Your mother never stopped looking for you. She sent search parties across the galaxy, offering rewards for information. She never gave up. Hope Mira was quiet for a long moment. Do you have a mother? Amy smiled. thinking of her own mother back on Earth. I do. She's a teacher on my home planet. I haven't seen her in almost a year since I joined the Guardian Forces. The princess seemed to consider this information carefully. Why did you become a soldier? It was after first contact, Amy explained, when we learned Earth wasn't alone in the galaxy. I wanted to be part of something bigger, to help build connections between humans and other species. The Guardian Forces were created to protect peace not just for Earth, but for all peaceful worlds. Over the next days, a routine developed aboard the small ship. Amy taught Mira about Earth, showing her images of oceans and mountains, cities, and forests. Mira was fascinated by human culture, asking endless questions about Earth customs and traditions. In return, Mira shared stories of Lemira, its floating cities and healing gardens. The 3 moons that controlled the tides and the annual Festival of Lights. Amy also began basic combat training, with the princess teaching her how to defend herself. Should they become separated, the Crawl would not give up easily on recapturing such a valuable prize. Mira proved to be a quick learner, her reflexes faster than Amy expected. On the 10th day of their journey, the ship's alarm blared, warning of an approaching vessel. Amy rushed to the control panel, her heart sinking at the readout a Crawl hunter ship had found them. Hide in the storage compartment, Amy instructed Mira, pointing to a hidden panel in the floor of the ship. If anything happens to me, there's an emergency beacon. Activate it and Earth forces will find you. But Mira shook her head. I will not hide, she said, standing as tall as her small frame allowed. I am Lamaran royalty, we do not cower. Amy didn't have time to argue. The Crawl ship was hailing them, demanding they prepare for boarding with a quick decision. Amy activated the ship's defense protocol and grabbed Mira's hand, pulling her toward the weapons locker. If you won't hide, then you need to help me fight, Amy said, handing Mira a small stun weapon. The Crawl aren't expecting resistance from a child. Use that to your advantage. The Crawl ship locked onto them, a mechanical grinding sound echoing through the hull as the enemy vessel forced a connection. Amy positioned herself near the airlock, her weapon ready. Mira, hidden just out of sight, her royal training giving her the discipline to remain perfectly still. When the airlock opened, 3 Crawl soldiers entered the ship, their scaled bodies covered in battle armor, their weapons scanning the interior. Amy fired, hitting the first soldier before he could react. The second turned toward the sound, but Amy was faster, her second shot finding its mark. The third soldier, however, spotted her firing his own weapon, the blast hitting the wall beside Amy's head, showering her with sparks. She rolled to avoid his next shot, but found herself cornered. The Crawl advancing, his weapon aimed at her chest. A small blue figure suddenly darted out from hiding. Mira moved with surprising speed for someone her size. She fired the stun weapon at the Crawl soldier, hitting him directly in the back where his armor was thinnest. The soldier collapsed, his weapon clattering to the floor. We need to move fast, Amy said, already heading toward the control panel. More will come. She disconnected the ships from each other, the airlock closing with a hiss. She plotted a new course, one that would take them through an asteroid field. The Crawl ships were larger and less maneuverable, giving Amy's smaller vessel the advantage. For hours they navigated the dangerous path, rocks the size of buildings floating around them, the Crawl ship following at a distance, unwilling to risk direct pursuit through the asteroid field. When they finally emerged on the other side, the Crawl ship was nowhere to be seen on the sensors. That was brave what you did back there, Amy said to Mira once they were safely back on course. The princess looked down at her hands. I was afraid, she admitted. But Mother always says that courage isn't about not feeling fear. It's about doing what needs to be done. Despite the fear, Amy smiled, recognizing wisdom in the child's words. Your mother sounds like a smart woman. Mira nodded, her eyes growing distant. I hope she will still want me after all this time. What do you mean? Amy asked, surprised by the doubt in the princess' voice. I am not the same as I was, Mira explained. The Crawl. They did things, experiments. They wanted to understand Lamiran healing abilities. They took samples of my blood and tissue. They said they were improving. Amy felt a chill at the implications of Mira's words. What kind of experiments? Mira held out her hand, palm up, and closed her eyes in concentration. Slowly, a small light began to glow beneath her blue skin, growing brighter until it illuminated the entire cabin. Before, normal Lamirans can only glow when feeling strong emotions, Mira explained. But I can control it now. I can make it happen whenever I want. The crawl called it weaponizing natural abilities. Emmy watched the display with mixed feelings, amazement at the beautiful light, but horror at what the child must have endured to gain such control. Your mother will want you no matter what has happened, she assured the princess. You are still her daughter. Nothing can change that. As they continued their journey toward Lemira, Amy sent updated reports to Earth Command, including information about the crawl experiments on Mira. The response was immediate. Medical teams would be standing by upon their arrival, and increased security measures would be implemented on the final day of their journey. Mira stood beside Amy at the control panel, watching as the Lemiran system came into view. The blue-green planet growing larger as they approached. A sense of anticipation filled the ship. Amy received clearance to enter Lemiran airspace. A voice speaking in perfect English. Welcome home, Princess Mira. The Lamiran air controller said, her voice thick with emotion. We have been waiting a very long time for this day. As they began their descent toward the royal city, Mira reached for Amy's hand, her small fingers trembling slightly. Are you afraid? Amy asked gently. Mira nodded. I'm afraid they won't recognize me. I'm afraid I won't recognize home. Amy squeezed the princess's hand. Sometimes home isn't a place, she said. It's the people who love you, and your mother has never stopped loving you. The royal city of Lemira spread out beneath Amy's ship like a living painting. Tall crystalline structures caught the light of the rising sun, sending rainbow reflections across the landscape. Floating gardens connected the buildings, their vibrant flowers unlike anything found on Earth below them. Crowds gathered in the streets as news of the princess' return spread throughout the capital. Amy guided the ship toward the royal palace, following the instructions from Lemiran Air Control. Mira sat beside her, dressed in clean clothes provided from the ship's emergency supplies. Her blue skin now clean, her long silver hair braided in the traditional Lemiran style for royalty. The landing pad extended from the side of the palace, a welcoming committee already assembled, their blue forms standing in perfect formation. Amy recognized the diplomatic protocols from her training. The Lamirans were known for their elaborate ceremonies. Are you ready? Amy asked Mira as the ship touched down on the landing pad. The princess took a deep breath, her eyes beginning to glow purple with emotion. I have dreamed of this moment for 5 years, she said. I'm ready. Amy opened the ship's door, the warm Lamiran air rushing in, carrying the scent of flowers and spices so different from the recycled air of the ship. Mira hesitated for just a moment before stepping forward into the sunlight of her home world. A hush fell over the welcoming committee as the princess emerged from the ship. A small figure, backlit by the ship's interior lights, one Lemiran stepped forward from the group, a female dressed in formal advisor robes, her eyes wide with disbelief. Princess Mira, the advisor said, her voice barely above a whisper. Is it truly you? Mira stood tall. Despite her small stature, I am Mira, daughter of Queen Kara, rightful princess of Lemira. I have returned from captivity among the crawl. The advisor Lily immediately knelt before the princess, the rest of the committee following her lead, their foreheads touching the ground in the traditional Lamiran show of respect to royalty. Amy watched from the ship doorway, not wanting to intrude on this moment. Where is my mother? Mira asked, looking around at the gathered Lamirans. Lily rose to her feet. The queen awaits you in the throne room. She said she wished to greet you privately, away from the eyes of the public, this way. Princess, Amy followed at a respectful distance as Lily led them through the palace corridors. Guards snapping to attention as they passed, servants stopping to stare at the returned princess, whispers following in their wake. The lost one has returned, the stars have brought her home. The throne room doors stood 3 times the height of a human, carved from a material that looked like mother of pearl but stronger than steel. Guards posted on either side. They bowed deeply as Lily approached. The queen awaits. Lily announced, the doors slowly swinging open to reveal a vast chamber, its ceiling open to the sky, allowing the light of all 3 moons to shine down at night. At the far end, on a raised platform, sat a single throne, and upon it Queen Kara of Lemirami had seen images of the queen in diplomatic briefings, but they did not capture her presence. The power that seemed to radiate from her tall figure, her skin a deeper blue than Mira's, suggesting age and wisdom. Her silver hair elaborately styled and adorned with crystals that caught the light. her eyes fixed on the small figure who had just entered her throne room. For a moment no one moved, no one spoke. The Queen remained seated as protocol demanded, though Amy could see the tension in her body. The slight lean forward as if it took all her willpower not to rush down from the dais. Mira took a step forward, then another, her small feet silent on the polished floor. She stopped at the proper distance and performed the royal bow, the movement fluid, despite her years away from court. Queen Kara spoke, her voice clear in the silent chamber. Who comes before the throne of Lamire? Amira, daughter of Kara, born under the light of 3 moons, heir to the throne of Lamira. Mira responded, the formal words coming back to her as if she had never left. I return to my rightful home and seek the Queen's recognition, Queen. Kara stood then, her movement so sudden it startled the court attendants who stood along the walls. She descended from the dais, her formal robes flowing behind her as she approached Mira, stopping just before her daughter. She knelt down to eye level with the child. The Queen reached out one hand, hesitating just short of touching Mira's face. How can I be certain you are my daughter? She asked, her voice now softer, vulnerable. Many have claimed to be the lost princess in hopes of reward or power. Mira did not hesitate. She reached up and took the Queen's hand, placing it against her own cheek. The night you sent me away, she said, you gave me your mother's pendant and told me that even if we were separated across the stars, our hearts would beat. As when you said the pendant would guide me home. The Queen gasped, her eyes beginning to glow bright purple with emotion. No one else could have known those words. They were spoken in private without witnesses. She pulled Mira into her arms, holding her daughter close for the first time in 5 years, her composure finally breaking. My child, my beautiful child. Kara whispered, her voice thick with tears. I never stopped looking for you. I never stopped hoping. Around them, the court attendants began to glow as well. A room filled with purple light as the Lamarans shared in their queens. Joy Lily approached Amy, who still stood near the entrance to the throne room. You have done the impossible. Human Lily said, her own eyes glowing. The guardian forces of Earth have accomplished what our best trackers could not. You have earned the eternal gratitude of Lamarami. Watched the reunion, her own eyes damp with tears. I was just in the right place at the right time. She said. Lily shook her head. The stars guided you, she said. It is what we call star song, the universe bringing souls together for important purposes. Queen Kara finally released Mira from her embrace, though she kept one hand on her daughter's shoulder, as if afraid she might disappear again. She looked toward Amy, her gaze intense. Approach, Guardian of Earth, the Queen commanded. Amy walked forward, feeling suddenly very aware of her human appearance among the blue-skinned Lamarans. She stopped at the appropriate distance and bowed, as she had been taught in diplomatic training. Queen Kara studied her. I would know the name of the one who has returned my daughter to me, Amy Harris of Earth. Your Majesty. Amy replied, member of the Guardian Forces Special Operations Division. Tell me, Amy Harris, how did you find my daughter when all others failed? The Queen asked. Amy explained her mission to Vorax, the strange readings on her scanner, the discovery of Mira in the crawl bunker. As she spoke, she could see the Queen's expression darkening at the mention of crawl experiments. When she finished her account, the Queen was silent for a long moment, her hand still resting protectively on Myra's shoulder. The debt Lamira owes to you and to Earth cannot be measured. Queen Kara finally said, you will be honored as consister to the royal family. The highest recognition we can bestow upon a non-Lamiran from this day forward. You are family. Amy Harris of Earthamy was stunned by the honor, aware from her training that such recognition had never been granted to any off-worlder before. She bowed deeply. Thank you, Your Majesty. I am honored beyond words. Lily stepped forward. Your Majesty, she said, there is the matter of the princess's health. The human reports that crawl experiments may have affected her. Queen Kara's expression grew concerned. She looked down at her daughter. Is this true, Mira? The princess nodded slowly. The crawl wanted to understand Lamiran healing abilities. She explained, they made changes to me. Show me, the Queen requested her voice. Gentle Mira held out her hand, palm up, and concentrated the now familiar glow appearing beneath her skin, brightening until it illuminated her mother's face. The Queen gasped, not in horror as Amy had feared, but in wonder. The ancient texts speak of this ability. Queen Kara said it has not been seen in our people for 1,000 years. The ability to summon the light at will was once the mark of the great healers. It seems the crawl and their cruelty have awakened something dormant in our bloodline. A murmur ran through the court attendants, some bowing their heads in reverence. Lily stepped forward again. "This changes many things, Your Majesty," she said. "The princess will need special training." "Yes," the Queen agreed. "But first she needs rest and time to heal in all ways." She looked at Amy. "You as well, Guardian. You will stay with us as our honored guest until such time as your duties call you elsewhere." That night a celebration was held in the palace gardens, all 3 moons visible. In the sky, their light reflecting off the crystal buildings of the city below as music played and lamarins danced. Amy stood at the edge of the festivities, watching as Mira was formally presented to the noble houses, each representative coming forward to pledge loyalty to the returned princess. Lily joined Amy, offering her a cup filled with lamarin nectar, a sweet drink reserved for special occasions. "I have been told to inform you that Earth Command has granted you extended leave," she said. "They believe your presence here will strengthen the alliance between our worlds." Semi accepted the drink. "Surprised by the news, I expected to be recalled for debriefing," she admitted. "Queen Kara has specifically requested you remain," Lily explained. "She believes Mira will adjust better with you nearby. The princess trusts you, a rare gift she does not give easily after her experiences across the garden." Mira looked up, catching Amy's eye and waving the small gesture, so normal, so childlike it was, easy to forget all the princess had endured. Amy waved back, feeling suddenly protective of this child who had survived so much. 3 months passed on Lamira. Amy adapted to life on the alien world, learning their customs and language while serving as Earth's unofficial ambassador. The formal diplomatic team arrived 2 weeks after Myra's return, establishing an Earth embassy in the capital city. But Amy remained at the palace by special request of the Queen. Each morning, Amy trained with the royal guards, sharing human combat techniques while learning lamarin defensive arts. The guards were initially skeptical of the human female, but her skills quickly earned their respect, especially when they discovered her strength and endurance exceeded their own. Despite her smaller size, in the afternoons Amy often accompanied Mira during her studies. The princess had 5 years of education to catch up on, and the Queen had assigned the best tutors in the kingdom to help her. Amy found herself learning alongside the princess, absorbing knowledge about lamarin history, science, and culture. One afternoon, as they sat in the palace library surrounded by ancient texts that glowed with their own soft light, Mira looked up from her studies. "Amy, do you miss Earth?" she asked, her eyes curious. Amy considered the question. "Sometimes," she admitted. "I miss the smell of rain on soil, the sound of birds in the morning, but mostly I miss my family." My mother and my sister Clara. Mira closed her book and moved to sit closer to Amy. "I never thanked you properly for saving me," she said. "You don't need to thank me," Amy replied. "I was just doing my job." The princess shook her head, her silver hair catching the light. "No, it was more than duty. I have watched how your people operate now. I understand that you took a great risk coming into the crawl bunker alone if you had been captured." Meme smiled at the princess' perceptiveness. "You're right. It was against protocol, but sometimes you have to trust your instincts." Mira nodded sagely. "Mother says instinct is the wisdom of the body speaking to the mind." She paused, then added, "I want to give you something." She removed a small crystal pendant from around her neck. "It looks like an ordinary crystal, but it is linked to the royal bloodline. If you are ever in danger, it will alert me." Amy was touched by the gesture, but hesitated. "This is too valuable," she said. Mira placed it in Amy's hand, closing her fingers around it. "You are consister now," she said. "It is your right." Their moment was interrupted by Lily entering the library, her expression serious. "The Queen requests your presence in the war room," she said. "Both of you." Amy and Mira exchanged concerned glances. The war room was used only for matters of planetary security. They followed Lily through the palace corridors. Guards more numerous than usual, their posture alert. The war room was a circular chamber deep within the palace, its walls lined with screens showing different sectors of lamarin space. Around a central table stood Queen Kara and her military advisors, their expressions grim. "What's happening?" Mira asked as They entered. The Queen looked up, her face showing momentary softness at the sight of her daughter, before returning to its serious expression. "We have received intelligence that the Crawl are planning an attack," she said. "They claim we have stolen their property and demand your return." Myra paled, her small body tensing. Amy moved closer to the princess protectively. "Show them," the Queen instructed one of her advisors. A screen activated displaying a Crawl battleship approaching Lamaran space, escorted by smaller fighter vessels. "They will reach our outer defense grid within 2 days." The advisor explained. "How many ships?" Amy asked, studying the tactical display. 20 so far," the advisor replied. "But our intelligence suggests more are coming." Amy frowned, thinking about Earth military strategies. The Crawl rarely commit so many resources to one target. This feels like more than just recovering. Myra, the Queen, nodded, sharing Amy's concern. "Our thoughts." "Exactly. Which is why I asked you here, Guardian. We believe there is something about Myra. Something the Crawl discovered during their experiments that makes her uniquely valuable." All eyes turned to the princess, who stood straighter under their scrutiny, the royal training evident in her posture. "I told you about the light," she said. "They made me able to control it, but there was more tell us," the Queen encouraged gently. "The Crawl discovered I could heal others, not just myself." Myra explained. "It's why they kept taking samples of my blood. They said I was the key to something they called the Ascension Project." Amy exchanged looks with the Queen, both understanding the implications. If the Crawl had weaponized Lamiran healing abilities, the balance of power in the galaxy would shift dramatically. "We need to contact Earth," Amy said immediately. "The Guardian forces need to know about this threat." The Queen had already anticipated this. "I have spoken with your commander. We are coordinating a joint defense." She gestured to another advisor, who activated a different screen showing Earth vessels already en route to Lamariami. "Recognize the ship's design, the newest class of Guardian vessels equipped with advanced weapon systems and defense technology. Earth is sending the 7th Fleet," she said, impressed by the rapid response. "The flagship is commanded by Admiral Nancy Stone. She's one of our best strategists." Myra tugged at Amy's sleeve. "What will happen now?" she asked, her voice small. The Queen answered before Amy could. "The combined forces of Lamira and Earth will defend our world," she said. "And we will show the Crawl that our alliance is stronger than their weapons." The next 2 days were a flurry of activity throughout the palace and city. Preparations for possible attack, evacuation plans put in place for civilians, defensive systems activated. Amy worked closely with the Lamiran military, sharing Earth combat tactics and helping coordinate communications between the approaching Earth fleet and Lamiran forces. Myra was rarely left alone. 2 guards with her at all times, the young princess handling the pressure with remarkable composure. She spent hours in the healing gardens practicing her abilities under the guidance of elder healers who sought to understand the changes the Crawl had made to her physiology. On the evening before the Crawl ships were expected to reach Lamaran space, Amy found Myra in the highest tower of the palace, looking out at the 3 moons. "They're beautiful, aren't they?" Myra said without turning around. The way they danced together in the sky. Amy stood beside the princess, admiring the view. "They are spectacular," she agreed. "On Earth you only have 1 moon, right?" Myra asked. "Just 1?" Amy confirmed. "But it's special in its own way." Myra was quiet for a moment. "Do you think we'll win tomorrow?" Amy chose her words carefully. "I think between Earth technology and Lamaran strategy, we have a good chance, but battles are unpredictable." Myra turned to face her, the princess's expression serious beyond her years. "I have been thinking about something," she said. "If the Crawl want me so badly, perhaps I should go with them. It would save many lives." Amy knelt down to look Myra in the eyes. "Absolutely not," she said firmly. "That's not an option. The Crawl would use your abilities to hurt countless others across the galaxy." "I know," Myra admitted. "I just hate the thought of people dying because of me." "They wouldn't be dying because of you," Amy corrected gently. "They would be fighting to protect an innocent child from those who would exploit her. They'd be fighting for a principle that some things are not for sale, or taking the right of all beings to live free." Myra considered Amy's words, then nodded, her expression clearing. "You sound like Mother," she said. Amy smiled, taking that as a compliment. She stood up. "We should get some rest. Tomorrow will be a long day." As they left the tower, Amy noticed the guards exchange looks. something passing between them that made her instincts alert. She kept Mira close as they walked. Through the palace corridors that night, as Amy prepared for bed in her chambers adjoining Mira's, she heard a soft knock at her door. She opened it to find Lily, the royal advisor, looking troubled. "Guardian, we have a problem," Lily whispered. "We believe there may be a traitor in the palace." Amy's body tensed with alertness. "How don't know?" Yet Lily admitted, "But communications have been intercepted between someone inside the palace and the Crawl fleet." "Does the Queen know?" Amy asked, already moving to collect her weapon. "She's increasing security around the princess, but she asked me to warn you to be extra vigilant tonight." I nodded, her mind already forming contingency plans. "I won't let Mira out of my sights." Lily left. Amy checked her weapons and communication device, then quietly entered Mira's room. The princess was asleep, her small form barely visible beneath the covers. Amy took up position near the window with a clear view of both the door and the bed, her training keeping her alert. Despite the late hour outside, the 3 moons of Lemira cast their light over the city, as if watching over the princess themselves. Amy touched the crystal pendant Mira had given her, earlier feeling its slight warmth against her skin. Tomorrow would bring battle, but tonight, her only mission was to keep Mira safe. Hours passed in silence. The palace settling into night rhythms, Amy remained watchful, her senses tuned to any unusual sound or movement when the attack came. It was not from outside, but from within. The door to Mira's chamber slid open silently, a figure slipping inside, moving with practiced stealth. Amy remained motionless, watching as the intruder approached the bed. Only when they reached for the sleeping princess did she make her move. With lightning speed, Amy tackled the intruder, driving them to the floor, the sound waking Mira, who immediately activated the room lighting. Illuminating the scene, the intruder wore the uniform of a royal guard. But Amy recognized him as one of the newest additions to the palace security. Dawn broke over the Lemiran capital, 3 suns rising in sequence, painting the sky in shades of gold and amber. Amy stood on the palace defense platform with Queen Kara and the military command watching as the scanners tracked the approaching Crawl fleet, their vessels now visible as small points of light growing steadily larger. The attempted kidnapping during the night had put the entire palace on high alert. The traitors captured and interrogated, revealing a Crawl plan more extensive than anyone had anticipated. They hadn't just wanted Mira. They sought to overthrow the Lamaran government, replacing it with puppets who would give them access to all Lamaran healing technology. Admiral Nancy Stone of the Earth Fleet appeared on the communication screen, her expression serious but confident. "The 7th Fleet is in position, Your Majesty." She reported, "All ships ready for your command." Queen Kara acknowledged the admiral with a nod of respect. "The Lemiran defense grid is fully activated. Admiral, our ships are moving to support yours." Me studied the tactical display. The combined forces of Earth and Lemira created an impressive defense line, but the Crawl fleet had grown overnight, now numbering over 50 vessels, including 3 dreadnoughts, massive warships capable of destroying entire cities. Mira joined them on the platform. Despite her mother's wish that she remain in the secure bunker below the palace, the princess wore a formal royal garment designed for protection, a gift from the Earth Embassy made of a special material that could deflect Crawl energy weapons. "They want me," Mira said, looking at the approaching fleet. "Let me speak to them." "Absolutely not," both Amy and the Queen said simultaneously. The princess turned to them, her expression determined. "I am not suggesting surrender," she clarified, "but distraction. While I speak to their commander, our forces could move into position for a surprise attack." Admiral Stone, who had been listening to the exchange, nodded thoughtfully. "The princess has a point, Your Majesty. A communication from her would certainly capture their full attention." Queen Kara considered the strategy, reluctantly agreeing, but with conditions. Mira would speak only via secure holographic projection. She would remain physically in the palace, and Amy would stay with her at all times as the Crawl fleet entered Lemiran orbit, their lead ship broadcasting demands for the princess' surrender. Mira prepared for her part in the plan. Amy helped her adjust the formal royal circlet on her head, the symbol of her status. "You remember what to say?" Amy asked, checking Mira's protective garment. "One final time." Mira nodded, her young face solemn. "I remember she said, I'm not afraid." I smiled at the Princess Courage, it's not the absence of fear, but action in spite of it. The communication chamber was prepared a special platform, allowing Mira's image to be projected to the crawl command ship, while keeping her actual location secure. Queen Kara embraced her daughter briefly before taking her position with the military command. Amy stood just out of visual range as Mira stepped onto the platform. The projection activated Mira's image appearing on the crawl command ship, her small figure standing, tall and regal despite her youth. This is Princess Mira of Lamira. Mira began, her voice clear and strong. I understand you seek my return. The crawl commander appeared in response, his scaled face filling the screen so the little experiment returns. To us, he said, his voice a harsh rasp. You belong to the Crawl Empire, Princess. Your unique abilities are Crawl property. Mira did not flinch at his words. I belong to no one, she replied. I am Lamaran royalty, daughter of Queen Kara, rightful heir to the throne of Lamira. I called to offer you one chance to retreat. The Crawl commander laughed, a sound like grinding metal. You are in no position to make demands, child. Perhaps not alone, Mira acknowledged, but I do not stand alone. She gestured, and the visual field widened to show the approaching Earth fleet moving into attack position. While she had distracted the Crawl commander, Admiral Stone's flagship led the formation Earth vessels using their advanced cloaking technology to approach. Undetected during Mira's conversation, the Crawl commander hissed in anger, realizing he'd been deceived. The battle began with a coordinated strike from Earth and Lamiran forces, targeting the Crawl fleet's weapon systems. The palace shook as defensive shields absorbed enemy fire. Amy stayed close to Mira as they moved from the communication chamber to the secure bunker, Queen Kara joining them moments later. From the bunker's command center, they watched the battle unfold in space. Admiral Stone, proving her reputation as a brilliant tactician. Earthships moving in perfect coordination with Lamaran vessels. Despite never having trained together, the alliance between the two worlds demonstrated in real time. Mira watched intently, her eyes tracking the movement of ships on the tactical display. Her understanding of military strategy impressive for one so young. I thought humans and Lamarans had different fighting styles, she observed. But they move together as if they trained for years. They share common values, the Queen explained. Both our worlds value freedom and protection of the innocent when values align. Methods can adapt. A massive explosion lit up the display. One of the Crawl dreadnoughts critically damaged by a combined attack. From Earth and Lamaran forces, the Crawl responded with increased aggression, targeting the palace shields with concentrated fire. The bunker trembling with each impact. The battle continued for hours, a stalemate developing as the Crawl fleet regrouped. Adapting to the Allied tactics, Admiral Stone appeared on the communication screen, her uniform now disheveled, evidence of damage to her ship. We can't break through their defensive line, Admiral Stone reported. They seem to be protecting something. In the center of their formation, Queen Kara studied the display thoughtfully. They are hiding something. She agreed, something important enough to commit their entire fleet. Amy moved closer. Examining the formation, the Crawl ships had created a protective ring around what appeared to be a smaller vessel, unlike any Crawl design she had seen before. I recognize that configuration, she said suddenly. It's an extraction ship designed for medical transport. Mira looked at the image, her face paling. That's it, she whispered. That's what they want me for. The extraction ship would drain my healing abilities, store them for use in their weapons. The Queen and Admiral exchanged grim looks. This confirmed their worst fears. The Crawl weren't just after Mira. They wanted to duplicate her abilities on an industrial scale. We need to destroy that ship, Amy said. It's the key to their plan, Admiral Stone nodded. But getting to it will be nearly impossible. The Crawl have committed everything to its protection. Mira stepped forward, her expression resolute. I have an idea, she said, looking at her mother. The ancient texts you showed me about the royal bloodline. They mentioned a connection between Lamaran royalty and the defense grid, Queen. Kara shook her head, understanding immediately. It's too dangerous, Mira. It hasn't been attempted in generations. What is she talking about? Amy asked, looking between mother and daughter. The Queen hesitated before explaining. Historically, Lamaran rulers could connect directly to the planet's defense systems through a special chamber in the palace. It allowed them to channel their energy into the planetary shields and weapons. But the process was physically draining, potentially fatal, if maintained too long. Mira looked at her mother directly. I can do it. She said, I'm stronger than before because of what the crawl did to me. I can channel enough energy to create an opening in their defenses. Absolutely not, the Queen said, her tone final. I will not risk losing you. Again Mira stood taller, her royal bearing evident despite her youth. If we do nothing, we risk losing everything, she said. Everything you built, everything you protected while I was gone would be for nothing. Amy watched the exchange with growing concern. Understanding both sides, the tactical advantage Mira's plan offered was significant, but the risk to the young princess was unacceptable. I have another idea, Amy said suddenly, looking at the pendant Mira had given her, the crystal still hanging around her neck. Mira said, this is connected to the royal bloodline. What if we use it to amplify a focused energy pulse from the defense grid, without directly connecting Mira to the system? The Queen's eyes widened, considering the possibility it could work. She admitted the crystal would act as a conduit for royal energy, without requiring Mira's physical connection to the grid. Admiral Stone, who had been listening to the exchange, offered her support. The 7th Fleet could create a diversion drawing. Crawlfire while you implement this plan. Preparations began immediately. Engineers modifying the defense grid to accommodate the crystal pendant, Mira providing a small amount of her energy to charge it while remaining safely in the bunker. Amy worked alongside Lemiran technicians, her knowledge of Earth weapon systems, helping to calibrate the energy pulse for maximum effect. When everything was ready, the Queen looked at her daughter. One final time. Are you certain, Mira? This will still take considerable energy from you. The princess nodded, her expression determined. I am Lamiran royalty, she said. This is my duty to our people and to our allies. The crystal was placed in the amplification chamber connected to the planet's main defense grid. Mira stood before it, her small hands extended, palms out, her eyes closed in concentration as she channeled her energy into the pendantome. Watched in amazement as the crystal began to glow, first blue, then purple, and finally a brilliant white light that seemed to pulse with its own heartbeat. The energy flowed from Mira through the crystal and into the defense grid, the entire palace humming with power.